Okay, so we're all constantly wading through this flood of information, right?
Ugh.
Every day.
Nonstop.
And it feels like there's this huge uh, arms race for attention happening online.
Yeah,
And honestly, it's getting pretty exhausting, I think, for everyone. For the brands trying so hard to get noticed, and for us, the audience, who are increasingly just tuning out.
totally. Information overload is real.
But here's the thing I find really interesting. There's a big shift happening in public relations. It's moving way beyond just like grabbing eyeballs. It's becoming something deeper.
Okay.
We're talking about a whole new strategy, one that isn't really chasing those quick viral hits. Instead, it's about building what some are calling empathy-driven ecosystems.
Empathy-driven ecosystems. I like that phrasing.
Yeah, approaches that actually try to speak to real human emotion, cultural nuance, shared values, that sort of thing. So, our mission in this deep dive is basically to give you a shortcut to understanding this whole new approach. We want to explore how PR is becoming, well, more human-centric, even when, surprisingly, it's powered by code. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is this isn't just, putting a new label on old tricks. It's not superficial.
Right.
We're definitely not talking about those, like, manipulative crying commercials or just generic inspirational fluff. We've all seen plenty of that.
Oh, yeah.
Instead, it's really about brands genuinely learning how to listen first, then reflect, and then respond in a way that feels deeply human.
Yeah.
And that's key. Even if the processes behind it are, using complex algorithms and code, it's a real recalibration.
A fundamental recalibration. I like that. And it kind of starts with ditching what we could call performative empathy, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Like, remember when a big event happened and suddenly every brand had the same hashtag slapped on a post, trying to show concern?
Often felt pretty hollow.
Totally surface level, just trying to look relevant or caring real fast.
Yeah.
But look, audiences now are so much more discerning. We can see right through it when brands fake concern, and frankly, people are just tired of it.
They really are. And genuine emotional resonance, well, it needs so much more than just a hashtag. Right?
Really.
It demands real follow-through from the brand and a deep cultural fluency if a company says it cares about something.
Their actions better back it up.
Exactly. Their corporate behavior, where they put their money, their actual policies, it all has to line up with what they're saying. If it doesn't, they don't just lose credibility. They actually destroy trust.
Okay, so this is where it gets really interesting and maybe a bit unexpected. The rise of this genuine emotional intelligence in PR, it's actually being helped along by AI.
Right. Which seems counterintuitive at first.
Totally. We usually think of AI in marketing as, just maximizing reach, trying to make things go viral, pure numbers games. But here, it's being used for something different, for like a deeper emotional understanding.
That's right. So instead of just blasting messages out, brands are using AI to meticulously scan the public mood.
Scan the mood. How does that work?
Well, they analyze language sentiment, try to understand broader societal, say, trauma cycles.
Trauma cycles. Wow.
Yeah, like the predictable patterns of collective emotional response after a big societal event. Shock, grief, anger, resilience. The AI identifies these things, plus subtle shifts in online tone.
So it helps them avoid saying the wrong thing at the wrong time?
Precisely. It allows them to avoid being tone deaf by really understanding the emotional current. It helps guide their communications with incredible precision. It's about being genuinely responsive to how people are actually feeling right now.
Which leads to this huge shift, messaging by mood, not just demographics. That's a big one.
Huge.
For ages, PR just lumped us into these broad buckets, right? Millennial mom, urban Gen Z male, whatever.
One of those old fixed labels.
But the future seems to be moving way beyond that.
Which, this raises an important question. If we're not using those traditional demographics, how are brands segmenting audiences?
Okay, yeah, how?
The new way is by emotional state. Seriously, we're talking about segmenting based on feelings like, are people feeling anxious, skeptical, hopeful, outraged, or just plain exhausted?
Wow. So the message changes depending on the prevailing feeling.
Exactly. The messaging is specifically adapted to connect with you based on how you, or a large group of you, might actually be feeling in that particular moment. It's aiming for a much, much more resonant connection.
That's a fundamental rethink of identity in marketing, isn't it?
It really is. Moving from those fixed demographics to these fluid emotional states. I mean, a brand today needs to be almost as agile as their own emotions. That's a massive challenge.
And diving even deeper into the tech side, we're now seeing things called the neuropsych PR stack.
Sounds intense.
It does. These are apparently advanced platforms combining neuroscience insights, empathy mapping, real-time emotional analytics.
Mhm.
Sounds like sci-fi.
It sounds like it, yeah. But the critical objective here, the real goal of these tools, it isn't just about the literal content, like what a campaign said.
Okay, so what is it about?
It's about predicting how it will feel to the audience.
How it will feel.
Yeah. Think of it like, I don't know, an advanced MRI for public sentiment, using data points from neuroscience psychology to predict the emotional landing before the message even goes out.
So they can fine-tune the emotional impact.
Exactly. To make sure it hits the right note, or maybe just as importantly, to avoid hitting the wrong note. It's about managing that emotional resonance very deliberately.
And this whole empathy PR approach, it's also changing crisis communications, right? Reputation management,
Oh, absolutely. Completely. Instead of just reacting to the facts of a crisis.
which is the old way.
Right, the old playbook. Now, there's this whole new layer of, like, emotional foresight involved.
Meaning what, exactly?
Well, its function is really to help brands predict emotional backlash before it gets out of hand.
Predict.
Yeah, and then proactively diffuse the tension. They use tone-calibrated responses that focus on healing first.
Can you get an example?
Sure, like, say there's a big supply chain mess-up. Instead of just announcing delivery delays.
Which just makes people madder.
Often, yeah. A brand using these insights might first acknowledge the collective frustration, maybe the anxiety people feel about not getting what they need, then offer solutions that address that emotional distress, not just the logistical facts. It's about healing the relationship, not just managing the damage report.
That makes sense. Now, in this hyper-connected world, talking across different cultures, that adds another whole level of complexity.
Oh, for sure. It's not just about translating the words.
Right. It's about genuine global empathy, but also really sharp local sensitivity.
Exactly right. Empathy has to be contextual. What feels, I don't know, caring and supportive in one culture,
Might feel totally wrong somewhere else.
yeah, it might feel patronizing or irrelevant or even offensive in another region. So this highlights the growing need for culturally adaptive PR.
Making sure the message lands as intended everywhere.
Precisely. Because, a message about resilience might hit differently in a culture that values stoicism versus one that encourages, say, openly expressing grief. It's about real understanding, not just find a replace on the messaging.
So with all these deep shifts we're talking about, how success is measured must be changing too. It can't just be about impressions or reach anymore.
No, those old metrics, they don't capture this new reality.
So what's the new focus?
The new focus is increasingly on, well, someone termed it impressions made on the heart.
Impressions made on the heart. I like that.
Yeah, it signifies this really powerful shift towards measuring the lasting emotional impact, the genuine connection a story creates.
So depth over breadth.
Exactly. Depth over sheer breadth. A story doesn't have to be the loudest. It doesn't have to go massively viral in the old sense to be incredibly impactful and lasting. It's about how deeply it resonates, not just how many eyeballs glanced at it. And, if we connect this to the bigger picture, we're living in a time marked by, let's face it, a lot of burnout, a lot of bias, constant algorithmic overload.
It's intense out there.
It is. And in this environment, it's the brands that genuinely feel human. Those are the ones that are really positioned to succeed long term.
So the future isn't louder, it's smarter, more feeling.
Yeah, the future of PR isn't about shouting louder. It's about being more emotionally intelligent, definitely more responsive, and just deeply human-centric.
So thinking about this for you, our listener, as this technology gets better and better at letting brands understand our emotions, maybe with scary precision, how might you start to notice this change?
That's a great question.
Yeah, and the messages you see, the ads, the company statements, what does it really mean for the future? For how we connect with brands, and maybe more importantly, how they connect with us on a genuinely emotional level, something to think about.